Okay, so this is the second video. So I'm just going to include some information on how I've fixed the boot not opening fully. So basically, here it is. I'm just going to open it. So I'm opening this with the remote, and boot goes all the way up to the right location, and that's where it should be stopping, and it doesn't drop. So I've learned quite a few small things here and there, and thought I'll include some information just in case it helps somebody. Right, so the very first thing is that I've installed the two new struts. Now, I said in the previous video, the struts are different for each side. I'm not sure whether there is any major difference. They seem to perform the same, but I'm sure there will be a difference because Mercedes have got two different part numbers for each side. But this is what happened. Basically, I installed the two new struts, and after installing, it still didn't fix the issue. The boot would only open halfway. But what it did improve was that the boot wouldn't drop. So, for example, if I actually push it down and stop here, it tends to just stay where it is and doesn't drop, whereas with the previous struts it used to drop quite quickly. So this stays where it is, it opens properly, and it's just a bit more sturdy as well. So that's the difference what the struts made. Now, because it didn't fix the actual boot opening issue, my second thought was that maybe after doing some research, I found out that maybe the hydraulic fluid is low or not enough in there. So I changed the hydraulic fluid, and that still didn't make any difference. Now, Mercedes say that if the fluid isn't there, they say not to actually replace the hydraulic fluid. They just say change the whole unit. This is why they don't include any information on what type of fluid goes in there. So upon research, I found out that people were using either transmission fluid or hydraulic fluid. So I went ahead and I actually got hydraulic fluid from Halfords, and it was I think $4.99, and I used that fluid to basically top it up all the way to the half point. And that was basically when you open this bit here, all you have to do is, when this cup is on this side, there's a plus sign which is there. So you fill it just below that, and when you close it, you have this level. So it's a bit too much light there. So you can see the amount of fluid that's in the system, and basically that kind of like improved the lift, but it still did not lift the boot to its full height. So upon more research, I found out that basically the other issue that happens is that this type of Mercedes has got a boot trunk height limiter setting, and that's a setting inside the instrument cluster that you can go in and you can update. Now, unfortunately, that setting wasn't there on my S500. Now, I thought maybe this is actually a setting specific to the cars sold in America, because a lot of this information was on American Mercedes forums. So the second solution was to actually keep the boot close button pressed for 5 seconds. Now, I tried it in various configurations, and that also didn't work. But in the end, I did find how you're supposed to do it and how it works, and so I'm just going to include that information here. So the first thing is, one of the forums suggested to keep this button pressed for 5 seconds, and the car will make a beep sound, and that basically puts the boot back to its original setup and so it opens to its maximum height. Now, that's not the case for the W220 pre-facelift models. I think maybe some facelift models might have that set up, but definitely this particular model S500 doesn't have that facility. So you can keep that pressed, doesn't do anything, and the boot still opens halfway. Okay, so I'm gonna, before I include the information on how the correct setup works, but I'll just include a little bit more information down here. Basically, this hydraulic unit here pumps hydraulic fluid into this unit here, and that pushes this rod, and this rod here is linked basically to this piece of metal here. So when it actually pushes it, it opens the boot. The struts don't actually do the opening, they just basically reduce some of the load and also keep the boot in the right location. What I found was that just behind this arm, at the back, there's a plastic rod or plastic piece which goes and connects to this switch, which is behind this. So you can see these wires there. So, and that is basically a potentiometer. So basically based on how far that lever rotates, it reads the resistance. And so my initial understanding was that maybe that resistance has been recorded wrong, and maybe I need to go to Mercedes and get them to do it, to basically reset that using the star diagnostic systems. And that was not the case, basically. Although a lot of forums actually did say that, you know, if you have this issue, you can actually plug in the star diagnostic system and you can actually reset, but that wasn't necessarily in my case. So I'm going to just show you how I ended up fixing this and how it worked. Okay, so the correct way to do this is to make sure, first of all, your boot trunk is closed. Once your trunk is closed, you need to basically put the key in the second location. Make sure so the engine wasn't started, and there's the boot open and close button. So what I did was put the key in the position 2, and the boot was closed at this point. Because I tried it in a separate instances where the boot was open and this thing didn't work. So the correct method is to have the boot closed, keep this button pressed for 5 seconds. Obviously it's not going to do anything, but you have to keep it pressed for 5 seconds. Once you've done that, pull it up, that's the opener action, and keep it pulled up until the boot opens fully. Once it does that, close it, and the boot will close. That's it, the whole system is reset and boot starts opening fully. And that basically, what that does, the potentiometer that I've just shown, it records the new value as being fully open. Now, like I said, in some forums it was suggested that there's a setting in the instrument cluster that you can change, and it's under the menu settings, and I think it's called trunk height limiter or trunk limiter, and you're supposed to change that. I couldn't find any images for it, but there were loads of references. Obviously that's not a facility on this car, but the method that I've just shared here, that definitely works. So finally I'm just going to do one more open and close and show how this thing has been working very reliably. There's no issues, and it does actually work. So that's everything clear basically, and so you just press the button and it closes fully. So there's the boot closed. So I'm just going to open it. As you can see, it opens to the maximum height and opens quite smoothly, no issue with the load, etc. Now the final thing is basically this. When I bought this car, this foam is basically the housing for the hydraulic pump that was damaged. So I bought this new one, and that cost, including VAT, £30 from Mercedes. And there's the part number in case somebody needs it. Very difficult to get hold of. They had to bring it in from Germany, and took about 2 weeks, I think, for it to arrive. But there's not many left because obviously this model is being phased out. So I'm not sure whether these two parts are the same. That's 135. Yeah, it's the same part number on both. And basically this is the housing for the hydraulic unit for the boot open close, and that basically sits down there next to the battery. So I'm going to tidy up all the cables, put the foam back on, and close the sides. So basically that's the complete fix for the issue of boot not opening fully on a Mercedes W220 S-Class, and if I'm not mistaken, this actually applies to S600 and S500, because a lot of them did actually come with this facility. Not all of them, but many of them did have the powered boot trunk open and close. So that's it. So I hope you this video was somehow useful. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.